Now, earlier today, President Trump responded to the Iranian strikes on two of our military bases in Iraq. So now, yesterday, this is what happened. Just hours after the burial of General Qasem Soleimani, Iran launched about a dozen uh, ballistic missiles towards two of our American air bases. That's Al Assad and Erbil, which, of course, house American troops. So now the Iranians said, well, this is revenge. This is part of our revenge for assassinating Soleimani, which happened, of course, last week via drone. Now, we also know, thanks to reporting by the Gray Zone, that Soleimani was actually on a peace mission when he was attacked in uh, Iraq. So, absolutely disastrous. He was trying to do peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So now we have some good news about this, right? Because there's a lot of concern that we're going to get into a disastrous, prolonged conflict in the Middle East. Another one. Uh, we have Donald Trump that comes out and says, well, he says this. Take a look.
I'm pleased to inform you the American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases. Our great American forces are prepared for anything. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. No American or Iraqi lives were lost because of the precautions taken, the dispersal of forces, and an early warning system that worked very well.
All right. So, look, he sounds like a 3-year-old, and I'm sorry to insult children, but look, even though he sounds like a 3-year-old, I'm actually really glad to hear some of those words. Because, look, it is good that no Iraqis or Americans were killed. There were previous reports. I mean, last night there were people tweeting 20 to 30 Americans killed, and then there were Iraqis killed. And then, well, at least, at least according to Donald Trump, I know source dubious, right? There were no American casualties. So that's good. That's very good. And it looks like that Donald Trump will not start a war with Iran. Now, what Donald Trump does want to do in retaliation is do more sanctions on Iran. So that's not going to lead to another conflict, and that's good overall. So dodge a bullet on that one, or a missile in that case. And look, here's the thing. Iran also not interested in a war. I know that sounds crazy after they literally lobbed missiles at our troops in the area, but look, when you look at how many missiles that they lost about a 15, but 3 of them failed in flight. So they're about a dozen, and they all missed, right? Minimal damage. Well, they missed. I think they missed on purpose. This is basically a show of force. So now, let me get to a statement here from Iran's foreign minister, Javad Zarif, which kind of basically shows where they're at. They said Iran took and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense under Article 51 of UN Charter, targeting base from which cowardly armed attack against our citizens and senior officials were launched. We do not see escalation or war, but will defend ourselves against any aggression. So that's your standard expected response from Iran. But again, here you had minimal damage, no casualties. This is a warning shot. So this is, I think, to them, or to me, them showing their capabilities of being able to strike our assets in the region, right? And their willingness to be able to use them. Because this is the first time that they have actually fired from inside Iran missiles at our troops, right? Now, at the same time, and this is what's really important, because there are a lot of hardliners in Iran that are like, no, we must have blood, we must have revenge, right? Well, they showed their people at home that want that, oh, hey, look, we hit him back for Soleimani, so everything's square, right? In fact, Iran State TV was going around claiming that they had killed dozens of U.S. troops in response. Well, that's standard propaganda. We killed some of them. So now we're good. We got our revenge for Soleimani. Let's go back to our own lives and let's not escalate this any further. Now we're waiting for Donald Trump's response. So, but look, in the long run, both Iran and the United States do not want war with each other. And Trump has a lot of bad instincts. But in this case, I think his instinct is let's stay away from disastrous overseas wars because they're dumb. And they're deeply unpopular. And then that's what he looks at. Like, oh, war is super unpopular. Well, we're not going to go in that direction then. We're going to stand down. And so, look, and it's interesting the fight he has, I think, going on internally. The desire to look tough, right? Because he's got that, right? I got to look tough. Whatever, right? And then there's but I got to be smart and not, and going into Iraq and Afghanistan was stupid. And by any measure, everybody agrees that Iraq and Afghanistan were stupid. So here you have Donald Trump, the dumbest person alive, also agreeing like, oh yeah, even the dumbest person can see that Iraq and Afghanistan were absolutely stupid. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that disastrous wars in the Middle East are disastrous, but they are incredibly lucrative for quite a few people and corporations. So there's that, right? But look, this is good PR for Donald Trump and good PR, by the way, for Iran. Because then they say, oh, well, we were tough too. Look, we took on the Americans. And so I don't care. Propaganda on both sides doesn't really matter as long as we avoid getting into this disastrous war. So that's, again, they could have launched a lot more. They didn't. That's a good thing. And so we're going to avoid war. So now, talking about this, and look, I've thought about this a lot. I'm sure a lot of you have talking about this. And we can't forget that, look, a lot of this could have been avoided if we had not thrown out and ripped up the Iran deal. Look, the deal was great. The deal was the best deal that we could get. It stopped Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Now, without the deal, guess what? They're going to start making a nuclear weapon. But it's not the fact that this was a bad deal, as Donald Trump says. That's not why he ripped it up. He ripped it up because it was Obama's deal. And Donald Trump wants to undo everything that Obama did so that he can go and one-up him. Like, oh, I did better than Obama. For example, he keeps look, during his election and even up till recently, and probably even up to now, he's been saying, I want to get a new Iran deal. I want to get it better than Obama. In fact, let me give you a quote here. He said, I do believe that they will probably end up wanting to meet, and I'm ready to meet anytime they want to. If we could work something out that's meaningful, not the waste of paper that the other deal was, again, the best deal that we could get, I would certainly be able to be willing to meet. He also added that he would convene a meeting anytime they want and without any kind of preconditions. Now, later on, of course, the Trump State Department came out and said, oh, actually, no, we've got a giant list of preconditions. But that's, of course, look, you've got Mike Pompeo, who, of course, has salivated over war. And I bet he's very disappointed at this point, as well as John Bolton. So, look, this is absolute. This whole thing was ridiculousness, bringing us to the brink of war. Also, he could try to do better than Obama, which in reality, of course, he's never going to do better than Obama. As mediocre as Obama was, Donald Trump will never reach that height. He put our troops in danger, sabotaged a peace mission just because he hates the last president. He's a child. And again, sorry to be insulting to children. But look, for God's sakes, we got to get this guy out. Because it makes me wonder, like one of these days, Donald Trump's going to manufacture a crisis. If he wins the re-election, for example, he's going to manufacture a crisis that he's not going to be able to get us out of. I mean, that's disastrous. I mean, this one was about as close as you could get without starting a disastrous war in the Middle East. And he's one of the luckiest. He's got to be one of the luckiest fail sons ever. And I worry that one of these days his life's going to run out. But hopefully by that time, he will not be at the head and in control of an entire country when it happens. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.